Welcome to Cyberoam Online CCNSP Training Module 6. In this module, we'll be learning about application firewall. So let's have a look at the agenda of our presentation. First, we'll have a look at the need of an application filter. We'll take a look at evolution of applications, and then we'll see Cyberoam's application firewall. So what is the need of an application filter? Increasing trend in the applications require to fetch content from the internet, making it necessary to allow or block the applications. For any application firewalling device, it is primarily important to identify the application traffic. In many cases, the purpose of an application firewall is increasing the productivity of an organization. As you all know, abiding by the laws or compliances, protecting breaches, and optimizing bandwidth, which is very important, optimizing bandwidth, so you can cut down your bandwidth hungry application traffic and allow organizations specific productive application traffic. So let's have a look at the evolution of applications. So as quoted by networkworld.com, application firewalls can find malicious traffic that stateful inspection firewalls miss. For example, stateful firewalls don't detect worms that send a string of malicious code within legitimate protocols because they look at network layer packet headers. Now, Layer 8 technology in Cyberoam can find such attacks by looking for harmful signatures inside packets. So to create an application firewall, it is necessary to understand the application behavior. An application can use multiple ways to connect to the internet. It can be a standard port based, it can be a generic protocol based, it can also be a proprietary protocol based, it can be even a hybrid protocol as well, and sometimes even tunneling apps which use tunneling protocols. So we'll take a detailed look at these different applications in the next slides. So the first we'll take a look at standard port based application. So the set of applications that fall into this category use standard ports for communication. For example, port 53, which is DNS, or might be port 25, which is SMTP. So you can consider email clients like Microsoft Outlook or Mozilla Thunderbird. These are applications which use port 25 or SMTP. Now these applications use standard ports to connect to the internet and fetch information. The next protocol or the next application category is generic protocol based. So the set of applications that fall into this category use generic protocols for communication. For example, HTTP, HTTPS, FTP. We can consider FTP clients like FileZilla, SmartFTP. All these kinds of applications fall into these generic protocol based applications. And these applications use generic protocols to connect to the internet and fetch information. The third kind of application category would be a proprietary protocol based. This set of applications use the proprietary protocols for communications. A very good example would be Yahoo Messenger or MSN Messenger, Windows Live, which uses the Windows Live Messenger protocol. It can be Google Talk as well, which is Jabba. So they have their own set of protocols, and that's why we call it proprietary protocol based applications. There are some set of softwares which use these proprietary protocols for communication, like DiskB. Then you've got the hybrid applications which use hybrid protocol. Now these set of applications use generic and proprietary protocol as well as customized port numbers, as a result of which it becomes very tough for a normal stateful inspection firewall to block applications which use hybrid protocols. A very good example would be Skype. Over Skype, it's possible to send files, you can chat, you can call, you can also do a video chat using multiple protocols and random port numbers. And the last category is tunneling apps. So tunneling apps communicate over standard ports and protocols, but in some cases they also use proprietary protocols to establish a tunnel between the client and the server. These applications do not require any other special software installed in them. Examples of such applications will be Tor, Proxify, FreeGet, and all these kinds of tunneling apps. So if you take a close look at this slide clearly depicts the application behavior summary. So to conclude, you can say the static port-based applications like which use 53 or 25, which are the typical device or router can even stop it. A stateful inspection firewall can go up to HTTP or HTTPS layer, which is still generic protocol. Now layer 7 firewall or a typical layer 7 firewall can go up to hybrid and proprietary protocol based as well. But if you go with Cyberoam layer 8 firewall, it can protect all kinds of applications, right from tunneling apps to hybrid to proprietary protocol, generic protocol, and standard port based applications as well. So let's have a detailed look at the Cyberoam's application firewall. So we'll have a look at the application visibility of Cyberoam and control with layer 8 policies. That's most important. So Cyberoam not only identifies applications and not only gives you granular controls, but it also helps you to identify which user is using what applications. And in Cyberoam, applications are classified based on category, risk level, characteristics of the application, and technology used by the application, which makes it very easy for an administrator to configure application filter policies. Now, we have given a specific risk level associated with each and every application, as a result of which, when you go to the report section, you get a threat meter showing the average risk being carried by your organization in terms of applications. You have also got different categories of applications classified. Most important is the characteristics as well. You might get a requirement from some of your clients coming up to you and saying, I need to block all my bandwidth consuming applications. That's a pretty vague statement. How do you find out all the applications which use maximum bandwidth? Now that's why we have given characteristics associated with each and every application. And we also do classification on technology used by the application as well. So once we go down to the labs, we'll be able to see, and we also got some nice screenshot in our presentation as well. And we also give you granular reporting, which is very important for an administrator to see how much bandwidth is consumed by which application and which user is using what application. It also helps you to prevent data leakage and sophisticated application layer threats, including malware, phishing, botnets as well. And it supports business applications as well. And most importantly is the application QoS for your optimum bandwidth utilization, which is very important. So you say, okay, I'm allowing the streaming applications in organization, but I'll reduce the bandwidth to these kind of applications. So this is a sample screenshot of the configuration in terms of Cyberoam's application firewall. So you can see we've given you a classification based on category, based on the risk. These are predefined risks defined by Cyberoam associated with each and every application. We've also given you different characteristics based on the applications and finally on the technology as well. So depending on your requirement, whether you want to filter applications based on category, based on risk, based on characteristics or technology, you can configure and select what applications you want to allow or deny at which time of the day or week or month. You even have the flexibility of applying a schedule as well. So these are the different application categories available in Cyberoam. So you can see the conferencing, desktop mail, and a lot of other categories are there. Now, the number of categories, application category, and applications are updated very frequently. But the screen was taken at the time of preparation of this presentation. So don't assume that this is the final screen which you'll be getting on your appliance. It changes every day or every week in every month. We keep on adding new applications. We keep on adding new category of applications as well. So don't just go by the screenshot. Take a look at your own appliance and you'll be seeing a different set of applications as well. A lot more than what you're seeing in the current screen. So we've got, or rather I'll say Cyberoam has got identity-based application control. That's what I was stressing upon. It's very important to see which user is using what application. With Cyberoam Layer 8, it is possible to have control over application. For an example, which application is to be allowed for which user or group can be configured from Cyberoam. So you can create a policy, we'll name it as CCNSP_policy in the screenshot, and you can select the template again. You can select it either allow all or deny all. Same principle goes with the web filtering. So if you're selecting allow all and you're selecting certain categories of applications to be blocked, use allow all. Or else you can use the most restrictive, which is the deny all. But if you are selecting deny all and you're allowing certain categories of applications, be a bit careful with the DNS, HTTP and HTTPS applications, or else it might even stop your browsing and name resolution as well. So just be a bit careful, because DNS, a lot of application, DNS is an application, HTTP is an application. So there might be applications which will be using these protocols, and those might get blocked as well. So we'll have to, this is a sample screenshot actually, wherein we have shown you how to create a policy to block all very high risk applications. So what we have done is we went to the risk, we selected the number 5 scale, and it was very high, and all the applications popped up resembling to this particular risk of this application, and you selected all of that, and either you allow it or you block it. So you'll be selecting deny over here all the time, and you create that particular application policy. Now Cyberoam follows a proactive protection model. So what exactly is that? You can block all future applications based on selection criteria without adding applications manually. So you selected, let's say, P2P for instance, and you'll have a lot of applications around here. Now suddenly after a month we'll probably add a lot of new applications under P2P category. So you don't have to manually come back to your policy and add those applications. They'll be automatically added to your existing policy. So in this case, the all very high risk based applications, regardless of name or category, will automatically get blocked, including future applications which we add to our database. So you can have a user-based application control. So in the screenshot you can see that you've got a user named John who is having a policy application filter CCNSP_policy, which you created in the earlier screenshot. So you can apply it on the individual user. You can also apply it on an individual group as well, instead of applying it on individual users. So Cyberoam also allows applying application filter policies based on a number of users. For example, if a group of users should not be allowed to access Skype, we can add the following policy. So you create a policy and you say, okay, block Skype, and you apply it on a group of users. So you can navigate to identity, go to group section on your Cyberoam appliance, and click on the group name to apply the application filter policy. So let's have a look at the granular application control. So we'll be doing the labs in that granular application control. So the first lab, what we will be doing is lab 18, wherein we'll be blocking all applications that allow file transfer, and along with that it also have high risk. So we have to be very careful about this lab. We need to block all applications that allow file transfer and have high risk. So you have to be very careful on this. And the lab 19, which is the next lab, will block all manual, which is browser-based proxy connection attempts. So it's only browser-based proxy connections. You have to be careful on that as well. So let's get down to the labs and let's do the labs together. Alright, so now I'm logged into my lab infrastructure, and I'll go to application filter to block all the applications that allow file transfer and have high risk. So I'll go to application filter and go to policy, and I'll click on add, and I'll name it as block file transfer. I can also enable micro app discovery if I want to do that, and I'll be using the template allow all. So I'll click on OK. Now I'll go to this particular policy and I'll click on add. Now here, first of all, you get a lot of categories here to allow or to block. You've got the risk factor over here, you've got the characteristics of the applications over here, and you've got the technology on which the applications work over here. So my lab says I need to block all applications which allow file transfer. So I'll select that. And also it says carry high risk. So I'll select high, and I'll also select very high risk. So it's automatically on the right hand panel over here. You can see all the applications which match the criteria on the left hand side for file transfer and carries high risk and very high risk. and the action I'll have to select is I'll have to deny it. And I want to deny it all the time. I don't want to apply any schedule to that. So I'll click on OK. So now before I click on the OK button for the creation of the policy, I'd like to tell you one thing. We have got a proactive approach towards the application filter. In case any new application is added onto our application category, they will be automatically added to your policy. You don't have to come back here to the policy and manually add individual applications to that. So that's a proactive approach which Cyberoam follows. So I'll click on OK, and now I will go to identity, and I can go to the users or to the groups to apply this file filtering policy. So I'll go to the users, and here on the user John, I will apply the application filter as block file transfer, and I'll click on OK. Now here also the same principle applies. If I have a group and I apply a particular application filter policy on a group, but I apply a different filtering policy on the user policy is always going to override the group policy. So that brings us to the end of this particular lab. So let's continue with the next lab. So now let's go to lab 19, wherein we have to block all manual browser-based proxy connection attempts. So I'll go to my lab infrastructure, and I will create another application filter policy, and I will name it as block proxy. And here again, I don't want to enable the micro app discovery, and I'll select the template as allow all. So I'll click on OK over here, and now I'll go to block proxy. Alright, so I'll click on add, and I'll select individual application, and I'll search it as manual, and I get manual proxy surfing. Now if I block this particular manual proxy surfing, it will block any kind of proxy applications like Proxify or any browser-based proxy. So I'll select deny, and I'll select all the time, and I'll click on OK. And here we go. So I'll click on OK. Now I can again go to the identity, and this time I'll go to the group. So I'll show you how to apply it on a group. So I'll go to sales, and I'll apply the application filter block proxy here, and I'll click on OK. So it's a very nice demonstration here. I've applied the block proxy application filter on the group sales, but even though John is a member of sales group, I've applied the application filter as block file transfer. So even though John will not be allowed to access any applications which allow file transfer, but he can still access proxy applications. So that brings us to the end of this module, and the next module which we'll be doing is IPS, WAF, AS, and AV. So thank you very much for attending the presentation.